Welcome to the Build Your Private Practice podcast, a space for Canadian therapists who want to support others, make an impact, and build a sustainable practice that works for them too. I'm your host, Liane Wood, a registered psychotherapist, group practice owner, and business mentor, and I'm here to help you build a private practice that allows you to keep doing the work you love without burning out. Because the people who need your help the most are counting on you, and you deserve a practice that supports you while you support them. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Build Your Private Practice podcast, a space for Canadian therapists who want to support others, make an impact, and build a sustainable practice that works for them too. I'm your host, Liane Wood, registered psychotherapist, group practice owner, and business mentor, and I'm here to help you build a private practice that allows you to keep doing the work you love without burning out. Because the people who need your help the most are counting on you, and you deserve a practice that supports you while you support them. If there is one thing I've learned in private practice, it's this. It can feel lonely, even when you're fully booked and even when you're growing, even when on paper things look stable. Private practice is often built behind closed doors. We make decisions quietly. We adjust fees quietly. We worry quietly, and we second guess quietly. And in that quiet, something subtle can start to happen. Comparison creeps in. And when comparison isn't addressed, it can turn into competition. And competition, especially when it's unspoken, creates isolation. When I first started building my practice, I remember how much happened internally. Questions like, am I charging the right amount? Am I behind? Should I be growing faster? Should I stay small? What is everybody else doing? And because I didn't always feel safe asking those questions openly, they stayed inside. And that's where loneliness grows. Not in the absence of people, but in the absence of safe conversation. Private practice can amplify that because we don't have colleagues just down the hall. We don't naturally debrief business decisions in the staff room, and we don't always have peers who understand both the clinical and the entrepreneurial sides of what we're doing. So we scroll, we observe, we compare, we fill in the blanks, and when we fill in the blanks without context, competition can start to form. Competition in therapy doesn't usually look aggressive, it looks subtle. It sounds like, I wonder how they're filling up so quickly. They must have connections. I don't agree with how they do that. That is not how I would structure it. It can even sound principled, but underneath it sometimes is this. If they're succeeding, what does that mean about me? And that is a vulnerable question. Because if we interpret someone else's growth as evidence of our inadequacy, we will unconsciously distance ourselves. We might critique, we might dismiss, we might disengage, and every one of those responses increases isolation. Competition assumes there are only a few spots at the table, only so many clients, only so much impact, and only so much room for leadership. But in mental health, especially in Canada, the need far exceeds supply. There are more people waiting for support than any practice could serve. There are more communities underserved than we can count, and there is room. But competition narrows our lens. It makes us hyper focused on proximity. The therapist down the street, the practice across town, the group practice in our city. And it forgets the broader reality. We are not fighting over crumbs. We are part of an ecosystem. There was a moment in my early years where I had to confront something honestly. I was watching other practices grow, and instead of simply feeling curious, I felt guarded. I caught myself thinking, I don't want to share too much. What if someone copies this? What if referrals shift? And that thought surprised me because it really did not align with my values. I believe in collaboration, I believe in community, and I believe in lifting others up. So I had to sit with that discomfort. And I realized something important. Guardedness is often fear dressed up as professionalism. It wasn't that I didn't want others to succeed, it was that I was afraid of losing something. And once I named that fear, it lost its grip. One of the most stabilizing shifts in my practice was when I began intentionally referring out. not because my practice was full, but because someone else was a better fit. And that decision did something unexpected. It strengthened my network, it deepened trust, and it reinforced that we are not competitors, we are complements. When I refer to someone confidently and they refer back, something changes. There's steadiness, there's mutual respect, there's shared responsibility for client care. Competition says if they succeed, I lose. Community says when they succeed, the profession strengthens. And that is not idealistic, it's practical. Private practice comes with inevitable challenges, slow seasons, cancellations, self doubt, administrative overwhelm, regulatory confusion. When you navigate all of that alone, it feels heavier. When you navigate it in community, it feels shared. When I joined Build Your Private Practice as a client years ago, what surprised me most wasn't just the strategy, it was the room, the conversations, the honesty, the normalization. Therapists openly saying, I'm struggling with this, or I don't understand that, or I'm scared to raise my rates. And instead of being judged, they were supported. That doesn't just feel good, it creates momentum because when shame decreases, action increases. If we stay in competition mode, a few things happen. We withhold information, we hesitate to collaborate, we assume negative intent, and we minimize others' success. We amplify our own insecurity, and the profession becomes fragmented. But when we shift toward community, something else happens. We share resources, we exchange referrals, we celebrate wins, and we normalize slow seasons, and we learn faster. Community accelerates growth without aggression. Competition isolates growth and slows it down. The culture of private practice isn't built by mission statements. It is built in micro moments. When someone shares a win, do we celebrate or critique? When someone shares a struggle, do we correct or support? When someone grows, do we assume greed or discipline? We are constantly shaping the tone of our profession, and we don't need identical practice models to support one another. What we need is mutual respect. If private practice feels lonely right now, I want you to hear this. You are not behind, and you are not the only one second guessing. You are not the only one navigating business discomfort, and you do not have to build in isolation. Seek out rooms where money can be discussed without shame. Growth can be explored without judgment. Struggles can be shared without correction, and wins can be celebrated without suspicion. Those rooms exist and they change everything. If you want to move from competition to community, here's one simple practice: celebrate someone else publicly, refer confidently, share a resource without expecting return, ask a question vulnerably, and be the kind of colleague you wish you had. Culture shifts happen when individuals choose maturity over comparison. Private practice does not have to be isolating. It can be collaborative, supportive, steady, but that requires intention. It requires us to notice when competition creeps in, to name fear when it shows up, and to choose generosity when it would be easier to critique. There is room for all of us to build sustainable practices. And when one therapist builds a strong, aligned practice, it does not weaken the field, it strengthens it. Community will always be stronger than competition, and we get to decide which one we're contributing to. If this conversation has resonated with you, I would love it if you would subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow therapist who needs to hear this. Remember, the work you do matters. Keep showing up, keep holding space, and keep building a practice that works for you too. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow Canadian therapist who needs this. And remember, the work you do matters. Keep showing up, keep holding space, and keep building a practice that works for you. If you're looking for practical tools or support to grow your practice with more clarity and confidence, head to buildyourprivatepractice.ca. There's lots waiting for you there. I'll see you next time.